Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Shuklambaradhanam Vitnam Sachibannam Chadubhujam Prasanna-vadanam Dhyayet Sarva-vignopasantaye Ananta Samsara Samudratara Naukaitabhyam Guru Bhakti-dabhyam Vairagya Samrajyata Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Anjananandanam Veeram Janaki Shokanasanam Kabisamakshagantaram Vande Lanka Bhayankaram. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Guruvairappa, Narayana, Narayana. Namaskaram all of you. Welcome to the 20th session of Narayana Tirtha's Krishna Leela Tarangini. In the last session, which was the 19th one, we saw Tirtha's brief presentation of one of the highlights of his Leela, when Krishna was reported to have eaten mud, and when threatened by Mother Yasoda, little Krishna opened his mouth to prove his assertion that he did not eat mud as was accused of him. The Slokam 64, 65, Gadyam 18 and Slokam 66 again, concluding with Geetam 25, visually presented, showed the outline of the Mayavi's play and how the mesmerized Yasoda sang the praise of Sakshat Narayana in the song Hari Mide Sri Hari Mide. What the innocent gopi saw in that mouth was the entire cosmos instead of mud. Today we will enjoy the same episode, accepting through the exquisite prisms such as Srimad Bhagavatam, Nalayana Divya Prabandham, Gopala Vimshati, Yadava Abhyudaya, Krishna Karnamrutam, Narayaniyam, and also from one piece from Sursagar of Surdas. In fact, this Mayavi's play of showing his mouth and then showing the whole prapancham, this particular episode has been highlighted by a lot of scholars and saints. That's why this is very important. Just like the Damodara Upakyanam which we saw, this is yet another important episode. Yes, Yasoda, who saw inside that open mouth herself and the entire world, was indeed wonderstruck by the very Virat Rupam for the third time. Srimad Bhagavatam refers to all of Krishna's Virat Rupa Darsanam to Yasoda, although not in sequence. There were 3 times when Virat Rupa Darshanam was shown to Yasoda. The first time that Srimad Bhagavatam refers to such Virat Swarupam was in Canto 2, Chapter 7, which we very briefly touched upon in an earlier session. Grannita yadyat upabandham mamushya sulbam sutasya natu tat amushyamati. Yajrumbatosya vadane bhuvanani gopi samviksha sankitamana pratibodhidasit. When that cowherd mother, Yasoda, was trying to tie her son with ropes, she found the rope to be always insufficient in length, and every time the insufficiency was only 2 inches, dviangulam. And when she gave up completely exasperated, Lord Krishna opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. So around Damodara there was the Virat Swarupam. Seeing that, Yasoda was doubtful in her mind, but was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son, although not imagining the truth that he was none else than Narayana, but instead thought that Narayana was in his mouth protecting him. She felt that her child, little Krishna, was protected by Narayana by getting into his mouth, and that was the protection. That's why she was getting this Virat Rupam right in the mouth. She was even wondering it could be a Maya Swarupam which she is imagining. This is the first reference, although we all saw that this aspect of Krishna Leela comes much later, both with regard to Narayaniam as well as with Narayana Tirtha's Krishna Leela Tarangini. Let us see how the second time Sukha mentions Virat Darsanam and when does he mention it. Sukha brings it up right after Trinavarta Samharam in the 10th canto, chapter 7, by way of 2 slokas, 35 and 36. Pitaprayasya janani sutasya ruchirasmito Pitaprayasya janani sutasya ruchirasmitam muko lalayati rajan jrumbato dadrisheidam rajan jrumbato dadrisheidam kam rodasi jyotihi anikam kam rodasi jyotihi anikam asha surya indu vannisvasana ambudimsha kam rodasi jyotihi anikam asha surya indu vannisvasana ambudimsha dvipan nagam tad duhituhu vanani nagam sadruhituhu vanani bhutani yani stirajangamani. The third time in Srimad Bhagavatam is in chapter 8 of Canto 10 when the little Krishna ate mud and gets punished by Yasoda. That is what we are going to see now. It is Canto 10, chapter 8, and so many slokas, 14 slokas have been spent only on this episode, 32 to 45, all of which we'll be seeing now. In Sukha's narration here, Sukha uses that many slokams to enjoy this one incident in some detail. Towards the end of that, Sukha Brahmam tells Parikshit that Mother Yasoda became aware in Sloka 43 by the grace of Yogamaya as to who she was, albeit for a few moments when she sings in praise of that great Narayana. That's what happened when Narana Tirtha made Yasoda sing the praise of Narayana when she realizes in a split second that her little Krishna was none else than Sakshat Narayana. Tirtha's depiction of that is from Sloka 43 of the chapter 8 of Canto 10 as from Sukha. When Parikshit becomes curious, if not astonished at the Bhagyam of Yasoda, Sukha then reveals the secret of Nanda's and Yasoda's birth in Gokulam to await the Paramatman to become their son, about which we will spend some time in another session, in another episode. Suffices to say that at the end of all that, Sukha does explain to Parikshit why is that Yasoda had the unique Bhagyam that nobody else in that yuga or even in earlier yugas enjoyed. There is a reason for that. But before that, let us see the actual episode of eating mud, Krishna denying it, and then opening the mouth to demonstrate that he is innocent and bamboozling the mother with a Virat Swarupam. All that we will see that through the prism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ekada kridamanaste Ekada kridamanaste Ramadya gobadvarakaha Krishno mrudam bhakshitavaniti matre Krishno mrudam bhakshitavan iti matre nyavedayan Ekada kridamanaste Ramadya gobadvarakaha. One day while Krishna was playing with his small playmates, of course including Balarama and the other sons of the Gopas, all his friends came together and lodged a complaint to Mother Yasoda. My mother, Krishna has eaten earth. We saw that. Krishna just now had a handful of mud right into his mouth. If you want, you can go and check. We saw. Krishno mrudam bhakshitavaniti matre nevedayan. Sa grihitva kare Krishnam upalabhya hitaishini Yasoda bhayasambranta prekshanaksham abhashat. Upon hearing this complaint from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yasoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's health and welfare, because she always suspected that Krishna is going to do something of this nature which is going to spoil his health. She came running, she picked up Krishna with her hands to look into his mouth and chastise him. Her eyes were fearful, really concerned. She spoke to her son as follows in the words of Sukha. Kasman mrudam adam tatman Kasman mrudam adam tatman Bhavan bhakshitavan dragaha Vadanti tavagahete kumaraste agrajopyayam. Vadanti tavagahete kumarahate agrajo api ayam. Agrajo api ayam. Very nice construction. Kasman mrudam adantatman bhavan. Why are you so restless, Krishna, that you have to eat dirt, and that too, you go in a quiet place and some solitary place and starts eating dirt? You know, I'm not making it up. This complaint has been lodged against you by all your playmates. Tavaka hi Yete kumaraste vadanti. This is what they are all talking about you, that you ate mud. Okay, leave them alone. They are all mischievous boys. I don't have to trust them. Agrajopi I am. Even your elder brother Balarama says the same thing. How can I not believe him, even if I don't believe the other boys? Here, Yashoda's worry has been multifold. Her house was full of sweets of various kinds because she is actually Nanda Maharaja's Patni, the queen of Gokulam. She is wondering why then should the restless boy, of all the things available here, instead of eating all the sweets at home, should come out and eat dirt in a solitary place. She can never understand that. Yashoda gets very agitated. Krishna says, Ma, my dear mother, they all have plotted together and lodged a complaint against me so that you will punish me. They have been waiting to do that. They have something really big on me. So they all plotted together, and so uniformly you see, all of them are lined up only to make one complaint against me, that I ate mud. It is so sad, Ma, that even my elder brother, Balarama, whom I thought was always on my side, he too has joined them. Actually, I have not done this. Take my words as really satyam. Do not get angry and chastise me, Ma. I can't handle it. Let's see how Shuka explains this in the beautiful words of Krishna. Naham bhakshitavan amba. Naham bhakshitavan amba. Naham bhakshitavan amba. Sarve mitya abhishamsinaha. Naham bhakshitavan amba. Sarve mitya abhishamsinaha. Yadi satya girastarhi samaksham pashyame mukho. Yadi satya girastarhi samaksham pashyame mukho. Krishna says, Amma na mannu saapilla. இந்த பசங்க எல்லாம் பொய் சொல்றாங்க. All of them are ganging up. They are liars. I have never eaten dirt, mother. If you think that they are being truthful and I am the liar, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Yadi satya giras tarhi samaksham pashyame mukam. Come and have a look in my mouth. You will then realize who is talking the truth. Krishna presented himself as an innocent child to increase the ecstasy of Yashoda's maternal affection. For him, the only play here is he wants to make his mother show more love. That's why he was doing all that. As described in the Shastra, there is an adage, Tadan Bayan Mityokttara Vatsalya Rasa Poshikaha. Tadan Bayan Mitya Uktihi Vatsalya Rasa Poshikaha. Which means that sometimes a small child speaks lies out of fear for reprimand. For example, the little child may have stolen something or eaten something and deny that he has ever done anything. We ordinarily see this in the mundane world, but in relation to Krishna, it is different. Such activities are meant to endow the devotee with a blissful ecstasy whenever we try to narrate it or listen to this story. The Supreme Lord was playing his portion as a liar and accusing all the other devotees of being liars. As we'll see later in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 10, Chapter 12, Sloka 11, Ittam sadam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya sritanam naradarakena sakam vijurhu krita punya punjaha. Ittam sadam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya sritanam naradarakena sakam vijurhu krita punya punjaha. The cowherd residents of Gokulam, having accumulated the results of pious activities for very many lives, were able to associate intensely with Supreme Brahman this closely. How can one attempt to explain their great fortune? A devotee may attain such an ecstatic position after many hundreds, if not thousands, of births of devotional service. Persons who have amassed the results of a vast number of pious activities over so many births can attain the stage of associating with Krishna and playing with him like ordinary playmates that the Gokulavasis were blessed with. One should not consider such incidents being narrated to be untruthful, and especially with regard to this, Krishna accusing those Gopa boys as liars and all that, to be accusations. They should take it as Leela and not try to interpret it in the current human level of interactions. In fact, the way Krishna accused his playmates, we should not attempt doing such things because, oh, Krishna did that, why not we do like that? Because the kind of penance all these Gopa boys and Gopalas and Gopis have done to merit that kind of a friendship with Krishna is not something that we can even dream of. So comparison is not worth it. One should never accuse such devotees of being ordinary cowherd boys speaking lies, for they attain this exalted status of associating with Krishna by great austerities over hundreds if not thousands of births. Tapasa brahmacharyena samena cha dhamena cha tyagena satya sauchabhyam yamena niyamena va. We saw that in the previous session. Tapasa brahmacharyena samena cha dhamena cha tyagena satya sauchabhyam yamena niyamena va. This is again Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto. The austerities that these people have performed in the prior births is concentrating the mind, and in order to concentrate the mind, one must observe a life of celibacy and not a fall down. One must undergo the austerity of voluntarily giving up all sensory enjoyments. One must then be able to control the mind and senses, give charity everything that one has without expecting what's going to happen tomorrow. And should be always truthful, clean, and non-violent, and follow all the regulative principles and regularly chant the holy Nama of Bhagavan. This is what in Srimad Bhagavatam it has been repeated. And in one slogam, the entire ritual is encompassed here. I am tempted to digress on to Surdas, a great poet who lived between 1478 and 1579. Born blind and who also refused to accept eyesight when offered even by Lord Krishna, Surdas was such a great devotee and a disciple of Vallabhacharya. In terms of timing, Surdas lived a 101-year long life between 1478 and 1579. The great Acharya Vallabhacharya was born a year after Surdas. He lived only 51 years. The one I wish to mention is from Surdas's famous collection of poems called Sur Sagar. It is also called Sur Sagar, but normally it should be Sur Sagar because the ocean that Sur cave. Those exquisite poems are reportedly numbering thousands, but at least hundreds of them are available. They are all on the mischief of Krishna. The context of little Krishna telling a lie and also accusing his friends of telling lies on him is the same, but the incident presented by Surdas makes it a lot more interesting. I don't think any other scholar or saint has made that kind of a very interesting description of the whole event. Telling a lie about eating mud and getting caught and then trying to explain it away to Yasoda, this poem gives you everything that you can even dream of. Yasoda catches Krishna red-handed. This is the scenario or a sequence before this poem. When Yasoda sees butter smeared all over little Krishna, and the pot is broken with all butter missing or spilt on earth. In our story or anecdotal reference, we were talking about the eating of the mud. And in the case of Surdas, he doesn't talk much about the eating mud part of it, but he says Yasoda caught Krishna red-handed when she broke the pot after eating all the butter, but he smeared it all over his body and also put some of them on earth, which we talked about earlier. Yasoda gets very angry. She has a stick in her hand and she had it and she's going to give it to him. Then Krishna pleads to angry Yasoda and the song goes like that. मैं नहीं माखन खायूं मैया मोरी 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 मैं नहीं माखन खायूं. My dearest mother, I did not eat butter. Please believe me. मैं नहीं माखन खायो. My mother, Maya Mori. Then Krishna proceeds with his plea. Bor bhaiya गयन के पाछे बोर भयो गयन के पाछे मधुवन मोही पटायो मैया मोरी मधुवन मोही पटायो मैया मोरी मैं नहीं माखन खायो. Early morning, Mother, don't you remember? Did you not send me to the forest to watch after the cows? Borbayo gayyan ke pache madhuvan mohi patayo. You are the one who sent me to take care of the cows. So I just went along. Char pahar bamsi vat bakyo. Char pahar bamsi vat kyo. सांझ परे घर आयो मैया मोरी मैं नहीं माखन खायो. All day I have been roaming. चार पहर बमसी बट बटियो सांझ परे घर आयो. All day I have been nothing but exhaustedly roaming in the sun. But to get myself acclimatized to the sun and all the exhaustion, I was playing the flute and so tired I come home in the evening and then get accused like this. Is that proper? Okay, if you don't believe that, मैं बालक बहियन को छोटो मैं बालक बहियन को छोटो चीको ही विधि बायो मैया मोरी चीको ही विधि बायो मैया मोरी मैं नहीं माखन खायो. My mother, मैं बालक बहियन को छोटो. I am just a child with very short arms. Choto bahiyan. How do you think I could have reached the container that you have placed it so high in the pot hook? அவ்வளோ ஒசரமா உரி இருக்குமா, அந்த உரியை நான் எப்படிமா சின்ன கையை வச்சு நீ எட்டி எடுக்க முடியும்? How can I do that? Yasoda doesn't respond. She angrily brings attention to the butter on his lips. she shows like this. இதுக்கு என்ன சொல்ற? வாயெல்லாம் வெண்ணெய். இதுக்கு என்ன சொல்ற? She never makes a one word mention, but she only shows an angry sign pointing to the butter on the lips of Krishna. Not only that, all over the body of little Krishna there is butter smeared. The question is, she is just gesturing. How did that butter get all over you? For that, Krishna has a very nice explanation. He is not tired of explaining. ग्वाल बाल सब बैर परे है, ग्वाल बाल सब बैर परे है, भर बस मुख लपटायो मैया मोरी, भर बस मुख लपटायो, ग्वाल बाल सब बैर परे है, भर बस मुख लपटायो मैया मोरे, मैं नहीं माखन खायो, ओ मैया मोरी, मैं नहीं மாக்கன் காயோ. அம்மா, இந்த பசங்களாம் இருக்காங்க இல்லையா, என்ன துரத்தின்றே இருந்தாங்க. They were all chasing me. And when they were chasing me, what they did was, they were the ones who were having butter in their hand. They spread butter all over my mouth and my body and the face. Look at me, I'm the innocent guy. They do all the mischief. They smear butter on me. And I look guilty to you. Well, nothing cuts ice with Yasoda. When Krishna realizes that such excuses do not seem to attract any traction, he now thinks it's time to butter his mother. So he hopes to soften her by persuasion. Tu janani, tu janani, मन की अति बोरी, तू जननी मन की अति बोरी, इनके कहे पति आयो मैया मोरे, मैं नहीं माकन कायो. Mother, நீதானே என்ன பெத்த? My dearest mother, you gave me birth. You know who you are? Ati Bori. You are pure and innocent at heart. Bori and Boli are interchangeably used because Surda's poems are all on Braj Bhasha. In Braj Bhasha, Ra and La are interchangeable. Ati Boli became Ati Bori. So he buttered the mother. You gave me birth. You are pure and innocent at heart. You start believing all others but not me. But this flattery also did not seem to attract any attention with Yasoda. So he now plays a different trick. Then he thinks, what else can I say to convince my mother or change her mood? The little fellow then puts up a new facade. He decides to show a bit of anger, fakes some angry face and complains to the mother that Mother Yasoda sent him out with a stick and blanket early in the morning for a whole day of hard labor to run after the cows. So the tone is now changed. Krishna says, Ma, you know what you did to me? I'm such a small boy. What you did to me, don't forget. यह लाई अपनी लकुटी कमरिया, यह लाई अपनी लकुटी कमरिया, बहुत ही नाच नचायो मैया मोरे, मैं नहीं माखन खायो. यह लाई अपनी लकुटी कमरिया, बहुत ही नाच नचायो मैया मोरे, मैं नहीं माखन खायो. Amma, don't you remember saying in the early morning when you sent me out, hey Krishna, come here, take the stick. Hey, le apni lakuti kamariya. Kamariya is kambli. Kamariya is kambaliya. Kambaliya is blanket. You gave me a blanket because it was very cold in the morning. Then you gave me a stick. And then what you did was you take it and drive the cows and come back. Ma, bahutahi nachi nachayo. Nanna vela vangre nani dance aada utta. You really had me dance a lot. In spite of all that, now you are accusing me. You are sending me to hard labor. Such a small child with a kambli in the morning and a stick to run after the cows for 12 hours a day. When I come back, you have all accusations about me because you trust all these useless boys. You had me dance, Amma. In other words, she says, you were having me dancing the dance a lot. Now Kanaya looks at the face of the mother, wondering whether that is making any impression on the mother. Well, Yasoda is a hard nut to crack. She knows all the tricks of this boy by now. So Yasoda doesn't seem to budge for this new drama as well, and thus realizes that his anger is of no use and that Astram also has gone kaput. I'm sorry, when we say kaput, it is the original German word kaput, K-A-P-U-T-T, which English borrowed, and kaput means everything is gone. That's of absolutely no use. Krishna now uses guilt trip. Krishna says that this is not about butter but an excuse for something else. Now this is really powerful. Mother, I know what's happening here. Yasoda looks with a very strange look in her face and says, what is this time you are up to? And Krishna says, Jiya tere kachu bedu upaji hai. Jiya tere kachu beda upaji hai. Jani parayo jayo. Maiya mori jani parayo jayo. Maiya mori me nahi maakan kayo. Maya, your heart has some serious discrimination issues. You are making a lot of discrimination. Look at the way you treat Balarama, you look at the way you treat other boys, look at the way you treat me. Maybe you have now started thinking that I am somebody else's child and not your own. So that thought must be really bothering you, then you are treating me like this. In other words, Krishna is indirectly accusing you are behaving like a stepmother to her stepson. This is no good. Jani parayo jayo. Jiya tere kuch beda upaji hai. Your mind has got some discrimination issues. You are not treating me as your own child. This was the real Brahmastram for Yasoda. Yasoda then realizes that the missing butter is nothing, it is trivial. And the new question from Krishna shakes her unbearably because she knows also some part of the truth. Before this becomes serious, Yasoda wants to put an end to the whole drama and she says, okay, she has forgiven him. Don't worry about the butter. I will clean you up. You can have as much butter you want. Okay, let's all smile. And we are cushy as usual. Let's not even talk about the episode. This is how Yasoda wraps it up. In the last line, Surdas says, Surdas tab, Surdas tab, Surdas tab, Bigasi Yasoda, Surdas jab, Surdas tab, Bigasi Yasoda, Le urkant lagayo, Le urkant lagayo. Surdas tab Bigasi Yasoda, Le urkant lagayo. Surdas says, now I see Yasoda smile and she takes Krishna into her arms. Naine neer bari aayo, Naine neer bari aayo, Kanaiya tenagi maakan kayo, Lalla more tenagi maakan kayo. It is now Yasoda's turn. So far Krishna has been saying, I never ate butter. Now it is the mother saying, Naine neer bari aayo. There's a lot of tears in the eyes of Yasoda. She starts saying, Kanaiya te nahi maakan kayo. Hare Krishna, nee tiralada butter, nee butter saplada. You did not eat butter, you did not steal. Tenahi makan kayo, lalla more. Tenahi makan kayo. Okay, mother and son have made up now. They both hug and end up crying. Both accepting that he did not eat the butter, yet simultaneously knowing that the little thief was the one who did eat it. Yasoda knew it. Krishna totally knew that he is the one who is playing all the drama. He also accepts the apparent pardon. They hug and enjoy. Krishna realizes that since Yasoda had totally acquiesced, feels bad that there was no point in lying anymore. As soon as the mother says, "You did not eat butter," Krishna feels, "Oh my God, I am the culprit, but still what a drama I have done. It's not proper. I cannot be telling a lie anymore. I have to come clean with the truth. Let me say that." So finally what he does is, he says this with the following smile. Sunumaiya mori, maine hi makan kayo. Maiya mori, maine hi makan kayo. Instead of saying may nahi makan kayo, Krishna says now, mene hi makan kayo. Nandamma butter tirine, nandamma sapte. Listen, my dearest mother, I have to tell you the truth. I can't be hiding it anymore from you. I am the one that ate the butter. This is how Surdas completes. Let us change the scene to Bhagavatam and see how Shuka describes as to how Yasoda reacts to the latest challenge by Krishna. Shuka says in chapter 8, sloka 36, Yadyevam tarhi vyadehi ityuktaha sa bhagavan harihi vyadatta avyahata aishwaryaha krida manuja balakaha. Mother Yasoda challenged Krishna, if you have not eaten earth, then better open your mouth wide. If that's true, you should have no problem opening out your mouth. When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, to mimic the behavior of a human child, opened his mouth. Although Sri Krishna, who is full of all remarkable prowess, did not challenge his mother's parental affection, since for Krishna his magnificence is never lost at any stage, but is manifest always at the proper time, he had no problem obliging what mother wants him to do. Narayana Bhattadri explains 2 episodes of Virat Darsanam in the 46th Dasakam of Narayaniyam. In the first slokam, Bhattadri mentions how the yawning little boy showed the whole cosmos to the bewildered Yasoda and also instantly made it disappear, making his mother forget that it ever happened. And in fact, Bhattadri followed the chapter 7, sloka 35 and 36 of Srimad Bhagavatam for that episode, for the first slokam of 46th Dasakam. From the slokam 2 to 10 of that Dasakam, which he completely focused it on the other Virat Rupam, Bhattadri is ecstatic. The latest episode, when the little boy was forced to show his mouth to prove his innocence that he did not eat mud, was borrowed from Shuka's narration in chapter 8, but Bhattadri had put it poetically completely different. In fact, Bhattadri says in the second slokam, Punarapyata balakai samam tvahi Leena nirate jagatpate phala sanchaya vanjana krida tavam mrudbhojanamuchuhu arbakaha. One day when Krishna, you took away deceptively all the fruits from the Gopa boys, these are all your friends playing with you. Well, what you did was you stole all the fruits from them. They were livid and being deprived of all those delicious fruits day long which they have been able to gather. They all took a lot of trouble in gathering with you, but you quietly made them disappear. You took it to yourself and they didn't have a piece of it. They got really livid. Punarapyata balakaihi samantui leela nirate jagatpate phala sanjay vanjana akrudatava mrudbhojanam uchuhu arbakaha. They were waiting for an opportunity. because they lost all the opportunity to taste the wonderful fruits which they gathered, and you were responsible for that stealing episode. They all ganged up for an opportunity to report so that you got some thrashing from your mother. The boys could not, however, venture to complain to Yasoda about the fruits business, because Yasoda and all other mothers of those boys would come and beat them also, because since they too were part of the loot of picking the fruits from different gardens and they were thieving then. So, Thirudanukku Thel Kottna Mari, this is a Vachanam they call it in Tamil. Just like the thief getting stung by a scorpion, he can't shout or cry. Same thing happened with the boys. The boys could not even tell their mothers or Yasoda that Krishna really deprived them of the fruits. But thereby they waited for an opportunity. So they eagerly found finally a serious misdeed on the part of Krishna. It was then that Krishna, you happen to eat some mud like any small child would normally do. That's what Bhattadri says. On seeing this, the boys lost no time in running to the mother and reported. Then the mother got very angry, Yasoda. According to Bhattadri, in Sloka 4 of Dasakam 46, Bhattadri says, through Yasoda, Ai Durvinayatmaka, Tvaya Akimu Brutsa, Bata Vatsa Bhakshita, Ade Paile, impertinent one, didn't you eat mud? Durvinayatmaka, Ai Tvaya Akimu Brutsa, didn't you eat the mud? Bata, tell us, Vatsa Bhakshita. They all told you, Vatsa Bata Bhakshita. Here it is for the children. The children said to me that you did eat. Iti matur giram chiram vibo vitatam tuam pratijaggishe hasan. When you were questioned like this by Yasoda, instead of answering her, you started smiling for a long while. And then finally, when you were really grabbed by the mother and she was going to jerk you up, she says, no mother, I did not eat mud. Mother, you are making all these false accusations based on these boys who are all, in my opinion, liars. Don't listen to them. Then Yasoda gets really angry. In the next slokam, Bhattadri says, Aite sakalaihi vinischite vimatihi ched vadanam vidaryatam iti matru vibharsito mukam vikasit padmanibam vyadareyaha. Yasoda says, oh naughty boy, all these friends, not only they say that, including your elder brother Rama, say with certainty that you ate mud. I doubt your assertion. I have no faith in what you say. But anyway, if it is true that you had not eaten mud, why should you worry? Better open your mouth, let everybody see, including me. Then we will put an end to this whole episode of it. So listening to these very harsh words, iti matra vibharsita amukum vikasat padmanibam vyadareyaha. Krishna showed false fear. He pretended to be afraid of his mother, held his hands like this and said, yes, Amma, I'll open my mouth. So he opened your mouth, which was like a booming lotus flower. That's how Bhattadri explaining. Vikasit padmanibham vidareyaha. Then Yasoda was just putting in her own words, she's talking to herself. Api mrullava darshanotsukam jananim tam bahu tarpayanniva prithivim nikilam na kevalam bhuvanani api akilani adrishaha. If you had eaten mud, at least a trace of it would now be visible in the mouth. So I want to see the proof. If you had not eaten mud, you don't have to worry. But Krishna, you being extremely kind, as though to satisfy even more than she can bargain for, instead of showing a speck of mud which she was waiting to see in your mouth, you showed the entire earth full of mud right into the mouth. Your mother asked for a speck, but whereas you gave the whole earth. This is what Bhattadri puts it beautifully well. Api mrullava darshanotsukam jananim tam bahu tarpayan niva prithivim nikilam na kevalam bhuvanani api. Prithivim nikilam na kevalam bhuvanani api akilani adrishaha. கேட்டது ஒரு துளி மண், காமிச்சது உலகம் ஃபுல்லா இருக்கிற மண் அத்தனையும் வாயில காமிச்சிட்டோம். He showed the entire earth filled with mud when the mother was expecting only a speck, not nearly the earth. You revealed all the words comprising this great universe, the cosmos. In other words, the summary of it is, true devotees who do not pray, let me put it this way, true devotees do not normally pray asking for anything because they do not earn for phalam. உண்மையான பக்தர்கள் எதுவும் கேட்பதே இல்லை. That's why I often say when you go to the Sannadhi of a temple and start saying, everybody in my family should be specially blessed by you, Bhagavan will be laughing at you. You say, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, and fall at his feet. He will take care of you along with the rest of the lokam. If, however, they ask for little something, supposing the bhakta is so ignorant, he asks for a little, Bhagavan, the great lover of devotees, will gift them with so much more than that they can't even handle. Look at the instance of Kushela. He goes there, doesn't even know how to ask any boon, comes back, and he can't handle the wealth that was showered to him even though he never asked for that. This is made very clear here. In fact, in 3 successive slokams in Narayana Bhattadri says, Satatta dadrishe vishwam jagat stastanucha kam dishaha sa adri dvipa abdi bhukolam sa vayuhu agnihi indu tarakam. These are all from Srimad Bhagavatam 37, 38 and 39 of chapter 8 from Sukha. Sa tatta dadrishe vishwam jagati stanucha kam dishaha sa adri dvipa abdi bhukolam sa vayu agni indu tarakam. Jyotish chakram jalam tejo nabhavansam viyat evacha. Vaikarikani indriyani mano matra gunastrayaha. Etad vichitram saga jivakala swabhava karma Ashaya lingabedam sunostanau vikshya vidaritasye vrajam saha atmanam avapa shankam. And Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yasoda. Yasoda saw within his mouth all moving and non-moving entities. Outer space, all directions, along with mountains, islands, ocean, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankara. She also saw the senses, the mind, the sense perception, the trigunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance, namely Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. She saw the time allotted for the living entities. She saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma. And she saw desires and different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving, everything in one place. Seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestation, along with herself and Vrindavana Dhama, she became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. விண்கண்டாள் விண்மழைக்கும் வெண்கதிரும் தன் சுடரும் விளங்கக் கண்டாள். விண்கண்டாள் விண்வளைக்கும் வெண்கதிரும் தன் சுடரும் விளங்கக் கண்டாள். மண் கண்டாள் மண் வளைந்த மாகடலும் பேருயர் மால்வரையும் கண்டாள். தன் கொண்ட வெண்டோட்டு தவள நெடுவரை கண்டாள். தனையும் கண்டாள் பண் கொண்ட வண்டாற்றும் பசுந்துளவோனிவன் எனவே பரவினாள். பண் கொண்ட வண்டாற்றும் பசுந்துளவோன் இவன் எனவே பரவினாள். This beautiful Tamil poetry is from a Bhagavatam in Tamil called Arulala Dasar Bhagavatam. About 500 years ago, a great Tamil scholar, Varadarasa Iyengar, felt that the greatest of Puranas, Bhagavata Puranam, should reach the masses since the Sanskrit work of 18,000 verses was almost inaccessible to masses for a number of reasons at the time we are talking about. Some 500 years ago, they were not within the reach of masses. There was restriction as to who can read Bhagavatam, who can read Sanskrit. So Varadarasa Iyengar was very disturbed by the fact. Just like Tulasidas did Ramayanam so that it should reach everybody. And Jnanadeva did Gita in 9,999 verses so that that should reach, Bhagavad Gita should reach the masses. Here Varadarasa Iyengar also did, he did a Bhagavatam. And because he had the divine blessing, he was later known as Arulala Dasar. He was originally born in Nagar, but lived in Srirangam and did the Mahabhagavatam. It's called Mahabhagavatam. The way originally it was structured was known as Mahabhagavatam. It was also mentioned as Purana Bhagavatam or Vasudeva Kathai in many literary references in the 18th and 19th centuries. This total work is about 130 chapters with 9,147 poems to describe Bhagavatam, following Sukha Bhagavatam, which is 18,000 verses. This particular work, Arulala Dasar Bhagavatam, was published first in book form in 1881 by Komalavallipuram Rasagopala Pillai. Iyengar earned the title Arulala Dasar because of the blessings of Sri Ranganatha, who blessed him to compose this Bhagavatam for the benefit of ordinary mortals. The other Tamil Bhagavatam is by Savai Chuduvar, who also lived around the same time in 1500 to 1525. He originally hailed from Vepattur, and certainly he is known to be a contemporary of Arulala Dasar. Much less is known about Savai Chuduvar Bhagavatam. But the Bhagavatam that is available today from the good old print of 1881 has 9,147 poems. That contains this beautiful description of what Yasoda saw. Ven kandal, ven valaikum, ven kajirum, tan sudarum, vilanga kandal, man kandal, man valainda maakadalum, peruyir malvarayum kandal, tan konda vendottuttavale neduvarai kandal, tanayum kandal, pan konda vandaatrum pasundulavom ivanan, Yanavi Paravinanal. The one question that is often asked is, why this Maya Jalam by Krishna again for a third time? Sri Krishna himself answers this question later to Arjuna. He says in chapter 9, sloka 10, he says, Maya adhyakshanena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetuna anena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material creation known as the Prapancham or Cosmos or world or earth or whatever you say, which is one of my own energies, is working under my direction. Adhyakshana prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Everything is happening according to my direction. Producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under my rule, this manifestation is created, and as I desire, it is annihilated again and again and again. Mother Yasoda, being a simple woman, could not find out the real cause of the vision that she had in the mouth, and this time actually she was somewhere between bamboozlement, mesmerized feeling, at the same time realization a bit. Therefore, out of maternal affection, she simply offered obeisance unto Supreme Lord Narayana to protect her child. She could do nothing but offer prayers to Lord. It is well said in Mahabharata in Bhishma Parva. The Vakyam goes like this: Achintyaha kalu ye bhavaha na tamsa tarkena yojayet. When you don't know anything, what else to do when you are in absolute ecstasy like this? The only way you do is hold your hands and say Bhagavane, Bhagavane, Bhagavane. In Bhishma Parva, this is what Bhishma himself has said. Achintyaha kali ye bhava na tamsa tarkena yojayet. Don't even quabble yourself with all the questions. For a few moments, Yasoda got the realization that she and Nandagopa were blessed to have Sakshat Bhagavan himself as their son, and hence the blessing of the Virat Darsanam. But the Mayavi did not want that to continue, and hence made her the usual possessive mother. Periyalvar says that Yasoda was magnanimous or wanted to otherwise impress her friends in Gokulam. She beckoned them and showed the little fellow's mouth so that they can witness what she was blessed to see. They all were fascinated to see the blessing. Not only she enjoyed it, but she called all the other gopis around and say, come and have a look. And that is what is explained by Periyalvar, that this great feat of what Krishna did and the blessing that he did to Yasoda was also given to others there in the Gokulam, and so much blessed they were. Periyalvar says, Vayul Vayyagam Kanda Madanallar. Madanallar means all the other gopis there in Gokulam. They all said, Ayar Puttira Nallan Arundaivam. Vayul Vayyagam Kanda Madanallar, Ayar Puttira Nallan Arundaivam, Payat Chirudai Panbudai Palagan, Mayanendru Mahindanar Madare. When the other good ladies saw from Gokulam the universe in his mouth, they exclaimed with so much happiness, this is no ordinary cowherd child, but the blessed Bhagavan himself, endowed with all the auspicious qualities. Payat Chirudai Panbudai Palagan, Mayan, Hayar Buttiran Allah, Arundaivam, Endru Mahindanar. Sadyoho Nattasmritihi Gopi Saropya Aroham. Aroham Atmajam. Prabuddha Sneha Kalila Hridaya Asid Yata Pura. In Bhagavatam again, Sukha says, immediately forgetting Yogamaya's illusion that Krishna had shown the universal form within his mouth, Yasoda became ignorant cowherd again. Arivandrumillada Aikulam, as Andal said. As usual, took her son on her lap before. She felt increased affection in her heart to the transcendental child and said, do you want milk? I am ready to give you now. That's the mother. Leela Sukha, a contemporary of Swami Nigamanta Desika, who belonged to the 13th century, explains this instantly changing mood of Yasoda and the overlapping sentiment also. Kailase Navanita iti Chitarayam Pragjagya Mulloshtati Chirodapi Nipita Dugdati Lasat Smere Prapulle Mukhe Matra Ajirnadiya Drudam Chakitseya Nattasmi Drishtaha Kaya Dudu Vatsaka Jiva Chiram Ityukto Avathanno Harihi. Dudu Vatsaka Jiva Chiram Ityukto Avathanno Harihi. Kwandel Tumbina Machulumali Rangaranga, we will ask for protection. Likewise, she also did that. Leela Sukha says, it is the Maya of Bhagavan to mesmerize Yasoda to think that the universe seen in his mouth were nothing but a confusion of butter, mud and undigested milk. Now, Kailase Navanita iti Chitirayam Pragjanma Mullotati. In order to take away the experience of seeing the cosmos from her memory, the mother again thought what she saw was undigested milk in the mouth of the child along with butter and mud combined. So this is Leela Sukha's explanation. Mistaking the Kailasa mountain for butter, and see the poetic excellence. Kailase Navanita iti. She thought Kailasa mountain which she is seeing in the mouth is nothing but butter. Because Kailasa mountain is so white. Butter is also white. The earth for mud, Chitirayam Pragjagda Mulloshtati, and the milky ocean for the milk which he thought were found in his mouth not being digested. Agitated milky ocean was the undigested milk in the mouth of Krishna. Yasoda became worried about her son's health, and thereby she said, Dudu Vatsaka Jiva, long live you, do. All the evil effects of some woman around here casting evil eye on you are all gone now, do. And also she performed a benediction on him by saying, long live my child. Jiva chiram ityukto avatanno harihi. Trayacha upanishadbihi cha sankhya yogaischa satvataihi. Upagiyamana mahatmyam harimsa amanyata atmajam. This is Bhagavatam again, Sloka 45 of Sukha. The glories of Supreme Brahman are studied through the Vedas, the three Vedas and the Upanishads. Trayyacha Upanishadbihi cha Sankhya Yogaischa Sattvataihi. The literature of Sankhya Yoga and other Vaishnava literature, related literature on Vishnu, yet Mother Yasoda considered that Supreme Bhagavan has to be her ordinary child. Of course, Narada Tirtha concludes the second Tarangam with yet another song through which Yasoda praises little Krishna as Govinda. Let us listen to Slokam 67 and Geetam in the forthcoming session, and also we will enjoy the meaning, visual presentation as well as explanation for that song before we proceed to Tarangam 3. So we will reserve these Slokam 67 and Geetam 26, the final parts of second Tarangam, for the next session. Narayana 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 Narayana. Hare Krishna, Guruvayurappa, Narayana, Narayana.